This friend of mine came and wanted me to endorse her coin because it's going to go to the moon. It's going to be the biggest thing ever. And I started, and when I challenged her, she goes, "But you're my friend. You have to endorse me." And I went, "You want me to set people up?" And that's what my concern is. Yeah, it kind of reminds me of what we call the dot-com era. You know, back around 2000, everybody had a dot-com company. You know, it was just this .com and that .com. And everybody was chasing these .com companies, and it all came crashing down. So do you think that's going to happen to all these new crypto coins or whatever they are?
I think crypto will continue to remain correlated with growth stocks, but there are so many funds being raised and so many billions of dollars waiting on the sidelines to fund innovation in the space. So if you bring enough smart people and you bring enough money to any category, you're going to see some really good things come out of it. And obviously the hard part is keeping up to date with the rapidly changing environment. I mean, over the last year, we've seen like 3 bull and bear market cycles with different innovations coming out and then kind of fading back. But there are a lot of promising things that have come out that are actually actively being used. And the big difference this time is there is a connection to the real world. So there's 2 things that are something I want to talk about. One is the off ramps and on ramps. So actually using the crypto you use, right, to swipe a card to earn interest on it. You can, like, for example, borrow money against getting a car loan, then depositing it into crypto, earning an interest rate on a stable coin, and then getting a free car, essentially, because the rate of return of the interest is greater than the monthly payments you need for the car. So these are things that you teach, but in different formats. You buy a home, you get rental income, and eventually you pay off the home, right? So these are like things that are happening in the real world are getting digital representations on in crypto, and that's called DeFi, or decentralized finance.
Back, Robert Kiyosaki, the Rich Dad Radio Show, the good news and bad news about money. Very important program today. We have Jeff Wang as a contributor to the Rich Dad Crypto newsletter, and we don't endorse anything. And I was just, one of the reasons I'm kind of hot on this subject is this friend of mine came and wanted me to endorse her coin because it's going to go to the moon. It's going to be the biggest thing ever. And I started, and when I challenged her, she goes, "But you're my friend. You have to endorse me." And I went, "You want me to set people up?" And that's what my concern is. So Jeff Wang is our contributor, but Jeff, you write for the Rich Dad Crypto newsletter. What does that, I mean, are we making recommendations there, or are you talking about what's going on in the crypto industry?
We try to cover as much as possible. So there are a lot of individual projects, of course, that we talk about, but there are a lot of macro market forces that we have to explain as to why markets are moving the way they are. But we also get into details like NFTs and how to get involved with those. And obviously, that's a whole other segment, a whole other thing we could talk about in the future. But as different Web3 technologies come up, we bring them up.
I get pitched on NFTs also. I'm going, you got to be kidding me. But that's the world we live in, and that's why we have the Rich Dad Radio Show, and that's why we have the Rich Dad Crypto newsletter. So can we talk about this guy Biden who I trust as far as nowhere? He's going to bring out central bank cryptocurrency or something like that. What do you know about that?
Yeah, actually, the central bank digital currency, CBDCs, are kind of popping up all over the world. China was one of the first ones to do it. Mexico just proposed last week. They're going to have one in 3 years. So there are pros and cons to CBDCs. So the pros is actually, it's a better technology. It's instant settlement. You don't need to create banks. Actually, you actually can take banks out of the picture, which is kind of bad in some aspects too. But the negatives is there's going to be greater transparency for the government. People will have to probably KYC into any account they make, that everything that you transact is visible to the government. So these things are like what the public doesn't want, right? So how do you outweigh like the pros and cons? Like I'll give you an example in China. So there are methods in China where you can deposit into private wallets, very low amounts though, where you can send without the government seeing you. But in general, the government can see everything you do. Otherwise, if you have any large amount transacted, they know exactly who's sending to who. So that's kind of the summary of CBDCs, but we can go over like the executive order and other aspects of it too.
Yeah, there's a guy named Mayer Amschel Rothschild. who said, I care not who makes the rules. Just let me control the money. So since I was a little kid at 9 years old studying money, I realized the only people that control money are governments, tyrants, and despots. And so that's the Federal Reserve Bank and the U.S. Treasury. And one of the reasons I have gold and silver and Bitcoin is because I don't trust the government, I don't trust the Fed, I don't trust the Treasury. So my question is, how long do you think, are you trying to say that the government will never be able to stop Bitcoin?
The government will never be able to stop Bitcoin. They can only control the conversions to USD.
Until I convert to dollars. But as long as I stay outside the U.S. criminal system, I'm okay.
Yes. And you know what's crazy is a lot of these new projects coming out this year are designed to be completely disconnected from any banks. So you can live your life completely without banks. The moment you transact in crypto, it stays in crypto.
Yeah, it's going to be an exciting times. Like I said, only people, tyrants, despots, and governments. And one of the reasons I don't have any stocks is I don't trust the stock market, which is the investment banking system. So I'd rather invest in my own stocks per se. Anyway, it's kind of an interesting way of thinking. We're not endorsing anything at Rich Dad here. We're just information. The last thing is I heard, I guess crypto played a big role in the Russia-Ukrainian conflict there. What happened there?
So it's really interesting that there's both positive and negative viewpoints on this, because the moment that the war started, sanctions were starting to hit, and different countries were trying to cut Russia off from different financial systems, right, and platforms. So the first thought from world governments was, is Russia able to evade sanctions with crypto? Are they going to ask other countries to give them Bitcoin and transact that to trade oil, for example? But instead, they went for the ruble, right? They said, we only accept ruble. So that's trying to boost up their currency. And then on the flip side, Ukraine, all they did was print out an Ethereum wallet. They said, here's our Ethereum wallet. Please donate to us. They got $100 million within the first few months. And it was like they didn't do anything except tweet it out, right? So think about that. Like, they didn't ask another country to wire money in, or, obviously they did, but they didn't have to. They just needed to tweet out an address, and then they received hundreds of millions of dollars just from crypto coming in.
That's amazing. And with my old brain, I'm going, was there really $100 million there? Or was it all like the US dollar printed out of nothing?
Well, no, it's in various forms of crypto. Like, they had different wallets. Yeah.
I understand. But to me, crypto is not much different than the US dollar. You just print it. You just create it.
Well, here's the difference with crypto. That is baked into the programming. There's an exact science behind how much crypto can be created.
I understand.
Whereas like the US dollar, someone could just type in how much they want for the next year, right? So
I don't know much. I have an old brain, but to me, where did that come from? What was the source? Look,
it's baked in the protocol.
I understand, but somebody just typed it up. They made it up. That's my opinion, and I'm willing to be wrong on this one. But I own oil wells, and to me, oil is money. But I have to dig it up. I have to ship it someplace. I own gold companies, gold mines, and silver mine. So we dig it out, and we actually ship it somewhere. But hundreds of millions of crypto come in. Didn't it just come off a computer?
No, so people personally had to send it.
No, I understand. But how did they develop the coin to send, or the money to send? Where did it come from?
Some people had to purchase it, or they've made it off of other transactions. But it's not minted out of thin air from nothing. There is a protocol that has a specific percentage of inflation.